our first story that's being taken will come directly from a major printing company called Jelgavas tipogrāfija that faced one of the toughest ransomware attacks this year. And it's called Print, Encrypt, Recover, a Ransomware Crisis Story. They will walk us through, not just through the decisions, but challenges that they had to face, but also from things like ransomware negotiations, law enforcement engagement, and keeping everyone in the flow informed about all that. So we have a dynamic duo here as well on the stage that were in the heart of the crisis, been there, done that, and will come on the stage and share their experience. So please welcome Māris Matrevics, the chairman of Jelgavas tipogrāfija, and Bračs, the cybersecurity expert who helped throughout the way. Please, the floor is all yours.
Hi everybody.
Hi.
My name is Pauls. I'm representing HC Security, and today we want to tell you the story of the ransomware attack, the crisis that hit Jelgavas tipogrāfija this summer. This won't be a theoretical presentation. It might not align with some textbooks, but all the information that we want to share is based on real events, real decisions that were made under stress, and real consequences. And the goal today is to share the things that we learned, the main challenges that we faced, and hopefully help other companies that might find themselves in a similar situation. And now I'll ask Māris to take us back to the beginning and tell us how it all started.
It was a regular Monday morning after a wonderful weekend. On Saturday night, my wife and we had attended a celebration, and we hadn't watched any news, and I wanted to enjoy the Champions League final reply on Sunday. I had been hoping for Inter Milan, but PSG took the victory with a crushing result. It was a normal Monday. I was driving my usual 35 minutes to work, already switching my mind into planning mode, thinking through what had to be done during the week. May had just come to an end and summer had begun. For parents, that's always a happy time when the kids don't have to wake up early and rush to school. I was also thinking about our family's summer plans, feeling that quite Monday calm. Halfway to work, I got a call from a colleague. He sounded uncertain, asking what to do because he needed to print an invoice for a client and deliver some book orders. He said there were some problems with the computers. It was for one of our long-time partners, someone we had worked with for years. So we agreed to handle it the old-fashioned way, write the invoice by hand, deliver the books, and sort out the paperwork properly once everything was running again. It felt like a small inconvenience, nothing more. Moments later, I read a WhatsApp message from our IT team. Just one short sentence that changed everything. Unfortunately, we are facing a very serious problem, and it's going to take a long time to fix. That is when I realized that this wasn't just a technical hiccup. This was something big, something far bigger. I pulled into a gas station and wrote a quick message in our internal Facebook chat, telling everyone that a virus had hit our network, that our IT team was already working to bring the system back online, and that hopefully everything would be fixed by the evening. Then I went inside and bought a few bottles of mineral water. Something told me it might be a long day. When I arrived at work, I saw the reality. On all 26 printers across the company, the same message had been printed over and over again. Or in our IT administrator's office, the team was gathered trying to make sense of what had happened. Everyone looked confused and everyone understood this was serious. By lunchtime, we began to realize the true scale of the crisis. Nothing was working and nothing was accessible. Not emails, not our ERP, not the specialized printing systems, not even our website, desk phones, or accounting software. Everything was done. All we had were our mobile phones and few computers that had escaped encryption simply because they weren't connected to the network or because they had a Cyrillic keyboard driver installed. Were we ready for crisis? Definitely not. Did we move forward without making mistakes? Not at all. Did we move forward? Did we know exactly what to do? But we acted, we did everything we could using all the knowledge we had and trusting the experts who stood by our side.
Yes, exactly. So, such a large crisis strikes, and first let's think about what are the first actions and dilemmas that Jelgava faced. Understanding the scope. So, what is affected? As Māris mentioned, a lot of systems were down, and you need to understand if the ones that are still working, are they safe or not? How bad is it really? Also, in the first hours, you start the investigation, but you also have to act quite quickly. So the question is, how long do you investigate and when do you start acting on the info that you have? And this kind of uncertainty, it stays with you throughout the entire crisis. Second one, building your crisis team. Because such a crisis, it's no longer an IT issue, it's no longer a cybersecurity team issue, it's a whole company issue. As Māris mentioned, all the printers had printed out the ransom note, so employees already understand that something bad is happening. You have to, and you have to communicate with them all. But about the crisis team, you need to manage a larger team than expected. You have your internal staff, your IT and your management, but you also might need external experts. In Jelgavas case, that was cybersecurity experts, legal experts, and also crisis management experts. The third one, a point to think about, the action plan. So that's the plan where you define how you're going to contain everything, clean it up, and recover. The questions are, do you even have such a plan? If you have it, is it tested? Is it working? And if you have the plan, was it on the servers that got encrypted, right? All these are serious questions, yeah. And if you don't have this kind of plan, then you are wasting precious time trying to decide on the priorities, the responsibilities, and getting everyone aligned. Fourth thing, communication. So you need to talk to your employees, your clients. You have your authorities, police, CERT, data protection agencies, and also, of course, the attackers themselves. Do you communicate? Do you give in to their demands? Do you stay silent? These were very hard decisions, and then they were going through the whole crisis with some of these questions not answered yet. Okay, so if we look at the containment phase, some of the challenges I wanted to bring out is what can we trust? In such a crisis, a certain paranoia can strike, because you start to suspect every computer, every system, even if it's working okay. Is it clean? Is it just pretending to be clean? Right? Next, shutting down or keep running. That is a security versus business question. Because especially for manufacturing companies, shutting down is a major blow. You stop your processes, you stop manufacturing, you stop the whole processes that bring you money as a company. Another important thing, the reality of the crisis, the fact that stress makes everything harder. When you're exhausted and the information that you have is quite incomplete, even simple decisions can become difficult, right? Your brain doesn't work as well under extreme stress, and this is one of the points why tested plans and tested procedures are so important. Because when the stress levels are so high that maybe your hands start shaking and you cannot think straight, the plans and the processes that you have tested, those are your ground where you can back on. And you can do things without thinking as much. And of course, managing the team. As people from business might understand, IT wants to get everything back running. The cybersecurity people, they want caution. They say, just let's stop, let's test everything, nothing moves before we say so. Then you also have the large pressure from the sales team, because they need to continue working for the company to continue working. And let's not forget about the external specialists with all their different opinions, and the caveat that they are only consulting here, because it's your decision what to do. And then coordinating all this during a chaos is a large challenge on its own. But when we are done with containment, then comes the eradication phase. So cleaning everything up. And we had to emphasize eradication without compromise or trusting nothing. Because, as I said, the fact that the system looks clean doesn't mean that it is clean. And we cannot take the risk of continuing to use systems that might be infected, because that's a thing that can restart the whole process and throw you at the beginning. Second one, seeing what's happening. And this means that deciding what to do is one thing, but seeing if it's completed correctly is totally a different thing. Tired people make mistakes, and miscommunication can also come into this into display in making the wrong decisions. And in the eradication phase, it's important to control that the tasks that are set out, they are complete, but also that you have some kind of technical controls that show you that it's actually okay. In Jelgavas case, a network traffic analysis tool came in handy when seeing if any resources that shouldn't be online suddenly popped up, and we knew that there was a problem. What else? Clean or rebuild, or fast versus safe. So the question is, your systems that are impacted, they are large. Should you clean them? That could be faster, but not as safe. Or should you rebuild them? That would be slower, but more safer. And there is no right answer to all the systems. You have to go case by case, because it's a risk that you have to understand if you're willing to take. And the fourth one, getting the data back does not mean you are safe. And this is a critical one. Even if you get the decryption key, or if you get your data back from your backups, it doesn't mean that the attackers are gone, that they're not in your system anymore. And this is a thing that you need to remember, because in a crisis like this, once stuff starts going the right way, you get your data, you get your systems back running, you want to just continue the flow. You want to get it back running 100%. But yeah, don't stop the cleanup process just because you can access your data again. Because again, that is how you get reinfected. And once the eradication is over, the final large part, the recovery, and also some bigger challenges that we faced. First one being speed versus safety. Because business leaders, they want everything back online as fast as possible, and that's understandable, because the main task of the business is to function correctly. And a lot of money has been already lost, and there are some unhappy customers, and they just need to start going again. But security always needs time, and sometimes security people ask for too much time. And so that's up to the management to decide. Secondly, what comes back first? Customers or internal systems? Because you cannot restore everything at once. So the question arises, should the customers be able to perform purchasing, or should your internal systems be more prioritized to restart the production lines? And every choice in this step, it can help someone but frustrate someone else. So it's also a tricky situation. And recovery, in Jelgavas' case, it took quite a long time, and that means exhausted teams. Because by this point, your IT staff, but your whole organization has been working under stress for quite a long time, for multiple weeks. And they are making mistakes, because they're human and they're possibly burned out, but you still need them, and it's a dangerous situation. Because tired people can accidentally undo your recovery work. Of course, we cannot forget about the rising costs. The external specialists cost a lot in a crisis. The additional hardware that you might need costs. The overtime of your employees, that's also into the rising costs. And of course, the lost revenue, because you're not working as you were before. And not going back to the old ways, that's a really important thing that we're happy that Jelgava really took from this process, that you must change what failed. You cannot rebuild the same system that got infected and corrupted. You need to be able to change and become better. And we, me and my partners, we were brought into this crisis as external specialists, which gave us a perspective from the outside. And we have some Jelgava tipography survival factors, as we call them. Those are things that helped them survive in opposition to the crisis. First of all, people and relationships, and this is both internally and externally. Jelgava has created a truly good partnership with their clients, and it's a partnership built on trust, right? And that means that when the crisis hit, those clients didn't run away. They didn't try to exploit the fact that Jelgava had issues, but they stayed patient and even offered their help. And the same goes for the internal culture of the company. In a good internal culture, employees don't panic, don't act out as much, and don't bring up old problems in such a stressful time. They can adapt more successfully and work the extra hours and what else is needed. Secondly, the smart leadership. That means that the management had to make quite fast decisions under pressure, and they needed to adapt. And I want to point out here that they truly listen to external specialists, and that is not easy, because having external people come in and say that they know everything better and you should do differently, it's not always the case, and it's not an easy thing to take. But that combination of their management confidence and humility is very critical in these kind of situations. The last one is the no shortcuts approach. They refused shortcuts in all the steps that I mentioned previously, because there were a lot of steps where you could have tried to restart the processes faster or use potentially safe systems that could have brought them back down again. And very importantly, they used this crisis to modernize themselves, to make themselves more stronger and safer, not just restore what they had before. Now, Māris, please tell us about the facts after the storm.
Yeah, the recovery took time, much longer than we expected. Accounting system, 2 days. Emails and communication tools, 1 week. Printing process, 2 weeks. It was very hard for us. We can't. Or ERP system, new partial functionality, 2 weeks. Full recovery, no, I hope 12 months by the following spring. At first, we believed we would be back to normal in a few days. But soon, it became clear restoring everything securely, step by step, would take months of patient and disciplined work. Now, 5 months later, we are finally more or less back on our feet. We are deeply grateful to our clients, to our suppliers, to our partners, to our employees. No one has stolen our skills to print with quality. No one has encrypted our craftsmanship to bind beautiful books. And no one has erased our love for what we do. Rebuilding our IT from zero gave us a chance to start fresh, to build things the right way without the limits of the old or systems. I think today we are a safer partner for our clients, for our suppliers. We are smarter as a team and stronger as a company.
Exactly. And to summarize the main lessons learned from Jelgavas' harsh experience, we want to highlight 3 things: the planning, the people, and the technology. Throughout cyberchess today, we have heard a lot about technology, but we would not like to put it in the first place. Because planning, you need to have a real, a tested, and a working plan And I emphasize tested in this part, because when ransomware encrypts your servers at, let's say, 2 a.m. on a Sunday, you do not want your IT to be Googling, what should I do now? What is a ransomware attack? So testing through tabletop exercises is a way for people to know their roles, know what they should do, and what's expected of them. So the plan that you have developed, it becomes the anchor for you when things get hard. Secondly, the people, that means your team needs to know what they need to do. They need to be trained. They need to understand the cybersecurity risks and the part they need to take in a crisis situation. And this includes also the crisis team. You need to understand, will you have the people needed to respond correctly and efficiently in such a situation? And the third of all, yes, technology, of course, you need strong foundations. You need visibility to see what's happening. You need your backups to be tested, to be safe, stored safely. And you need to segment things. But a critical insight that we found that has been true for a long time is that cybersecurity is an ongoing process. And that means that it's better to invest regularly in smaller sums, not to invest large sums when something like this happens. So my takeaways would be to train your team and develop also your work culture. It would be to test your readiness and your plans now, not during a crisis, and invest in the right foundations. So this has been a walkthrough of what happened. I would like to thank Māris and Jelgavas Tipogrāfija for having the courage to talk about their situation, and I would say also acting in national interests in spreading the word that crises like these happen, and that you need to be able to respond and know how to respond. Thank you, Māris, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you for everyone.
And thank you, Paul and Māris as well. So we have a bunch of questions online, really a lot of them. Maybe some of you are courageous enough to ask them yourselves and raise a hand. Yes, we have a few hands. Yes, please. Can we have a mic here on the first row?
Yes, the simple question. Okay. What was the one single mistake? What was the entry point? How did it happen?
Yes, that is a difficult question, but currently we are still in the process of investigation, and so we are not publicly talking about what exactly happened, but I can say from experience that the entry points are many, and they are often not as sophisticated as we think, as we hear about the zero attacks or stuff like that.
So maybe next year.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe next year, exactly. Yes, another question.
First of all, thank you for sharing this, because sometimes I tend to hide bad things which happened. So sharing this story, I think, really improves the overall cyber resilience here in Latvia. Yeah. And my question is, taking in account all this experience you had, what would you do different if you had second bad chance? What would you do different?
Māris, what would you do? I guess it's hard, right?
For us, I think we have very good background, and we know a lot of how we can go forward if it.
So now they're much more stronger, basically, than they were before. So I think it would be both the technical and the people aspect improving, and I think
of course,
the people are now so much trained after this experience as well. Do we have another question? Oh yeah, we do. Bunch of them.
Just a moment. Gotta get over there with the mic.
Yep. You can raise your hand so that, yeah, here you go. The gentleman there.
Hi, thanks for sharing. Just a quick question. Have you isolated your printing machine after the recovery? I mean, they are now printing machine on some island, I mean, from IT perspective, so they are not accessible from external networks. I mean, printing machine.
Yeah, isolated.
Well,
Have they isolated them?
At first, there was a lot of isolation, but now Jelgava also did in the process of recovery, Jelgava also did a lot of rebuilding, restructuring, and building new networks. So they are not isolated anymore. They are working at full capacity.
Yeah, but are they isolated from the other networks? Like
In that case, yes, of course. Yeah. It's an operational network. You know, the segmentation is really, really important. Yeah, so they are.
So the question is, do you make offline backups now?
Online backups. So maybe that's
I could extend it, like, what are top 3 countermeasures you have implemented now?
To answer about the backups, we had a good conversation yesterday, is that it's not enough to have, even if it's an off-site backup, if it's not safe, if it can be accessed through network. The attackers,
Offline backups.
Yeah, understand. But I wanted to tell the longer part. It's not enough if you can reach them, so it needs to be offline. So yes, of course, offline backups need to happen. But another thing to think about is, are the offline backups safe as well? Thinking about the immutability of the backups. So just because they're offline, if they've been made a week ago and the hacker has been in your network for a month, then you might just be bringing back an infected system.
Yeah, so there are many other things, not just the connectivity in mind, that you have to think about backups, and it's all pretty much relevant. We had another question I saw. Yeah.
Yes. How was communication with the attackers? As I heard that ransomware, usually it's ransomware as a service, so actually it is a business, and they are quite agreeing and so on. How much actually they requested?
How was the customer service there, basically?
Well, that's exactly right, that it is a business, as we also heard earlier. But when thinking about communication, we had different opinions. The opinions from the law enforcement that were also, some said you should communicate, some to find out more information. But as we understand, we are not going to start a conversation with the attacker where they start telling us things about them. So it was a hard decision, but Jelgava decided not to communicate based on the practices, although we know that, yes, it's a business and they are interested in keeping the business going, so they might return the information, but the decision was not to communicate. Yeah.
Absolutely, and every organization have their own, backstory of why this decision is made. And another question, final question, we can take one? Okay. There's a lot of questions online still, but due to the lack of time, please use the opportunity that both Pauls and Māris will be in the coffee breaks and during the social event that I remind you we'll have at the very end at 5 o'clock. Please take time to ask them questions then as well. Maybe they'll be able to share more as well, because it will be not filmed online and hackers will not be able to view as well. So thanks again. Thank you for your bravery coming on the stage and sharing your experience. We have, well, unfortunately only socks, but still something to remember us by. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Paul as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks. Thanks.